Depeche Mode is a prolific band from the 80s, one that I have actually never even heard of before. That is until this week when I listened to a hand-picked selection of 11 songs from this band. And today, we're going to be discussing them, what we think about them. Do I like them or do I hate them? We're going to find out today on Records and Rants. My name is Ice, and with me, as always, is Dixon. How are you?
Ice, great to be back. Now, just to clarify, you had never heard of Depeche Mode before?
Never in my life.
Wow. Okay.
I have heard. I think I have heard the name. The name looked familiar, but if you asked me where I heard of them before, I wouldn't be able to say like, oh yeah, like I saw like a poster, I saw an album of them. And never in my life.
Really interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard some of their stuff, and I kind of brought them to your attention.
Yes.
And because we've kind of been like this British scenario where we're kind of exploring some synth, some new wave, some punk, post-punk British bands. So I put it on the radar, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think this is slowly becoming, I would say, one of my favorite things that we've done is looking at these British bands. I'm finding that I enjoy a lot of them. Like, for instance, we looked at Morrissey. We looked at who else did we look at? We looked at
Joy Division.
Joy Division.
Yeah.
The Smiths.
So this is kind of our another foray into that genre. Let me just say, that intro, boy, really heavy on the ice. What do I think? What do I hate them?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm just here.
Oh yeah, wait, no. Oh yeah, I forgot that you're with me. Okay.
It's all right, no big deal. It's all good. I just sent you the effing songs and made the suggestions and everything.
Let it be known that was not the intention, okay, for future lawsuits when you try to take over this whole show.
Yes, let the record show that,
let the record show that I am acknowledging that this is a 50-50 partnership split.
People seem to like the 50-50 partnership split because it's like I said, I've heard some of these guys, some of their songs, like a very brief, just a few of them, and I thought, it might be worthwhile taking a look into it, because it seems that you're drawn, because you really haven't heard a whole lot in your life and your career in the show.
No.
Some diverse things. It might be worth a shot, because you really took to the Smiths, you really took to some of that British new wave, and went from there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I guess we could just get right into it. I don't want to delay any further to not keep the fans waiting. And I do want to get into this because it was super interesting. First of all, you have to say what they are. I mean, they are, to me Depeche Mode sounds extremely 80s, and I don't even know how to really describe that. There's a lot of synths. There's a lot of the the drum machines and things like that, and even the way that they sing, it's all quintessential 80s. If you picture a synth 80s song, this is it, and it's probably inspired by this band as well. I feel like they were very influential. I mean, they are insanely popular. So that's just a few things that I learned about the band, because at the beginning, you say the name. And we talked about this BTS, and all I had was this vision in my mind of like, oh, they're Depeche Mode. That's a techno band. I don't know. I just had that in my head. That they were a techno band for some reason, and that turned out to be right, which I was very happy about. But and I'm saying this right now. I feel like if I lived in the 80s. Right. I would be a Depeche Mode fan. Like I'd have posters on my wall. I'd have all that stuff. I'd be playing the synths. They use the Mini Moog, which is pretty interesting. The MS VCS3 Oberheim Matrix. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know what these are, but I've used these as like VSTs, like virtual versions of them. I mean, and they're fantastic. Like I said, it's like if you want that quintessential synth vibe, that's it. And Depeche Mode uses that. So I thought that was really interesting. But so what?
I think so too.
Yeah. So what did you? What kind of vibe did you get from them. I just want to say what I think that they are, first of all. But
okay,
yeah, what kind of overall vibe did you get from them? Did you feel the same way, that they are like quintessential 80s?
100%. I think one of the things that I noticed is that, and I go back to the Tame Impala video we made for reference, and a lot of these Depeche Mode songs, they all kind of sound the same, but then they don't. It's it's all the same vibe, but then they don't sound the same. Like you said, quintessential 80s, heavy on the synths, heavy on that new wave, that techno. They're really they're ranked as one of the best the best dance club bands of all time.
Really?
And yes, it's interesting to think about. And it's just like we talked about with Nickelback, the mash of genres on their Wikipedia page. Depeche Mode, synth pop, new wave, dance rock, electronic rock, alternative rock, post-punk, industrial rock. So they kind of have all their bases covered, which I think this sampling of songs, 11 songs, kind of showcases each one of those pretty uniquely in each song.
Yeah, it definitely does. And there's even some songs in there, and when I was listening to them, again, not having listened to them ever, I was able to pick out some, I'm like, oh, okay, that song's different. Like, they're doing something different there. Or this one sounds a lot different. It has, the vocals are kind of at the front. And that turned out to be some of their newer songs that were in here. They've evolved over the years, but I feel like they always had, like, you hear it, it's like, oh, that's Depeche Mode.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And you won 30 plus years, founded in 1980.
That's crazy.
Dave Gahan, Martin Gore, primary songwriter. You see his name on a lot of the songs. Vince Clarke, former member of the band, he's on some of these songs. And just to kind of give a breakdown, we did Enjoy the Silence, Personal Jesus, People Are People, Never Let Me Down Again, Policy of Truth, Strange Love, Heaven, Just Can't Get Enough, Ghosts Again, Where's the Revolution, and Walking in My Shoes. So kind of a sampling of different eras as well, because the Ghosts Again is coming off of their new album. They're coming out with a new album March 24th. So it's kind of cool.
So yeah, like you said, this selection of songs really jumps through all the eras of it. And Where's the Revolution actually came out in 2017. Just like you said, Ghosts Again is a recent release as well.
Yeah, I mean, definitely have our bases covered. So, and the other important thing to remember too is in the song we listened to, "Enjoy the Silence," which is I think the Depeche Mode song, has been making its rounds on TikTok lately in the last couple of weeks.
Really?
Yes, from what I've seen, what I've heard. I'm not on TikTok directly like you are, but you overhear.
I'm not on TikTok.
You overhear some TikToks from your fiance, just like I do. So it's been on there. It's been making the rounds lately. So resurgence of their older catalog as well.
That's exciting. I know you hit on this in a past episode, but I like the fact that TikTok is getting Gen X exposed to all of these older bands. If TikTok does one good thing, I guess that's it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. That's the truth. I mean, seriously, there's been a bunch of, I think, careers launched on TikTok and artists rediscovered through TikTok. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's doing some big stuff. But yeah, listen to all these songs. I was thinking to myself, like, I know it's like stepping into like a new wave territory, but I feel like in the beginning 80s, this is kind of almost like an experimental, not in the true sense, but just adding these kind of synths into songs and making them like very, very prominent within the mix and the melody. I mean, like the synths in these songs are just they are there. It's just nose forward. That is the major part of the song.
That's the deal. Yeah, 100%. If you listen to what the heck was it? I Just Can't Get Enough. So that was 1981 from Speak in Speak. It's just straight up synth. I
love it.
Yeah, it's like a boy band that like went to like a nightclub. And that's they started playing music and got their minds blown and they came out with the synth and that was it.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to describe that song. That was actually my favorite song on the whole thing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I feel like that's a more happier side of Depeche Mode, because I feel like a lot of their songs are kind of more slower, kind of maybe a little melancholy, but not like depressing, I guess. But yeah, that Just Can't Get Enough. That was definitely a fun one to listen to. That right there, I said this is the most 80s song I think I've ever heard.
That's for sure.
There, yeah.
And you were talking about this kind of slowed down. The song "Strange Love," that was off of Music for the Masses, 1987. When it opened up, it's like an opera. It's like dramatic, right? Yeah. It's kind of like making a statement. That is the album version. It's actually a slowed down version. They were actually going to make it. It was actually a little bit quicker, but a lot of the songs on Music for the Masses have a slowed down vibe and tempo, so they actually slowed that down before they released it.
Really, that's pretty interesting. Yeah. I'd say Music for the Masses now means just more fast tempo, kind of like heavy drops.
You would think, right? Yeah, you would think that.
You know, and speaking of that, I have to admit something here.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Please admit.
I hate that I was thinking this throughout the whole time I was listening to this. So I'm hearing all these synths and these electronic sounds, and I was loving it. But in my mind, there were some songs that, you know, you get to the hook, you get to the chorus, and I felt like I just wanted more out of the melodies, out of the synths. But then I told myself, I'm like, maybe that's just my like EDM rotted mind that I'm just waiting for a huge swell up and then like a massive drop, and then all the synths start going crazy and they have like 18 layers of different music. But that's not what Depeche Mode is. It's just they're on their synths. They got the bass synth, they got the melody, they got the lead, and that's essentially it. Like it's a stripped down thing. It's not like, and also, you know, there's no loud 808s. It's just drum machines, very light on the bass. But I correct myself on that because that's not what this is about, and I kind of had to get past it. I'm like, you know what, that's not what this is. Get that EDM crap out of your mind. Essentially, I had to do that for this.
But I know what you're saying. Like on Policy of Truth, 1990 from Violator. By the way, Violator is we listened to 1, 2, 3. Let's see, 3. Looks like 4 songs. Excuse me, yeah, 3 songs from Violator, 1990. Easily considered one of the best albums of all time. Like it's like packed. It was ranked 167 of 500 by Rolling Stone, and the website Best Albums Ever, which I guess is like an aggregator. They consider that the Depeche Mode's best album, also the best album of 1990. But
that's incredible.
I know, it's amazing. And so Policy of Truth, I thought the exact same thing that you were thinking. Like I really wanted this to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And I wanted the chorus to kind of resolve, and I wanted the melody to build up like you were saying. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't. Yeah. And it just kind of was flat. And then that was it. And that kind of disappointed me a little bit, because I think that's a pretty good song, but just doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I know. And I feel like that is the problem for me with a lot of these songs. Again, I don't know if that's EDM like rotting my mind. I could say this is decent music, good music, but at the same time, it's, I guess overall there's just no, like you said, there's no build up, there's no resolution, there's no tension. It just kind of goes,
right,
and you're just experiencing it as it happens. That's not to say that it's not an enjoyable experience, but like you said, it's like you're riding a roller coaster, but it's just going flat the whole time. And
that's 100% right.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, kind of thing, like the melody, you know, they're considered like a dance band, a dance hall band, a nightclub band. I would be interested to see how people danced to this music and what and of course I'm sure there was remixes and mix and everything else, but like it'd be kind of like, I don't know, like on Just Can't Get Enough. Like you could see how you'd move to that, but you got to be moving like at a really good speed. Like you got to be like twerking it, like whatever the 1981 version of twerking it was. You just got to be losing it to keep up with it, I think, right?
Yeah. It's like you got to be having a seizure to be on beat with this stuff. No, you're absolutely right. But then on the same hand, it's like some other songs are kind of slower, and are you just swaying back and forth? I don't know. I can't see some of these songs in a 100%. Club.
No, I'm with you. And, you know, there's 3 songs that I wanted to ask you what you thought, because this is what I thought of these 3 songs.
Okay.
So, Never Let Me Down Again. So, once again, Music for the Masses, 1987.
Yep.
Definitely heavier than some of the other stuff we listened to early on in the list. Policy of Truth, like we said, kind of waiting for it to go somewhere and it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then also Walking in My Shoes.
Yeah.
And that was from 1993. Those songs reminded me of the Smiths big time. I got a Smiths vibe from those three songs. And I think that, Never Let Me Down Again, it just kind of gave me that heavy Smiths vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Policy of Truth, I think, just had that same vibe. But then Walking in My Shoes, I thought was like pretty close to How Soon Is Now. Morrissey wailing, he's human and he needs to be loved.
Yeah.
That kind of reminded me of that, because it has like a real dark, kind of a dark vibe to it, a dark tone to it. I wanted to see what you think as one of the biggest Smiths fanboys out there on YouTube. I wanted to see what you thought.
I would, and it's actually kind of interesting that I like this one so much, because Walking in My Shoes is, like you said, it's kind of a darker one.
Right.
I don't know why I didn't make the connection, but now that I'm thinking about it, you're right. And Walking in My Shoes was, out of those three, was probably tied with Policy of Truth for my favorite.
Okay.
But I could absolutely see how you make the connection to the Smiths. Unfortunately, I looked at Never Let Me Down, and I thought it was just okay. And I noted the same thing. I said it's slower, but it never really hits where it needs to.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're saying.
There's not enough chorus. Policy of Truth, it had that nice slide effect on the synth in the chorus and the hook, which was
right,
which I really enjoyed. But yeah, overall, I guess they were just kind of okay, I guess, if you had to aggregate all of them. But yeah, no, I'm disappointed that I didn't make the Smiths connection on that. I feel like I missed it.
I made that for sure. This would be like, this is going to be great. I know, Ice loves those guys. This is going to be it. He's going to be, oh man, this is great. But no, that's definitely a fair assessment. I think it's true. And I think they're kind of, like I said before, like they sound the same, but they're kind of different. Like if you look at Personal Jesus, right?
Yeah.
You kind of have like a country twang on it. In the video, they're in Western wear and all this kind of stuff. Like there's kind of like this country vibe going on. And what I was surprised to hear is that Personal Jesus is ranked one of the best songs of all time.
Really?
And yes, been covered by Marilyn Manson, Sammy Hagar, Johnny Cash, and Hilary Duff.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, Hilary Duff covered Personal Jesus by Depeche Mode.
That is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I noted it down here, and I said, this song is familiar to me. And as I was listening to this one, I'm like, I have a very distant memory of this. So I don't know if my parents were fans of Depeche Mode or what, but I remember the song. But did you know that this was the first time a guitar was ever used as a leading instrument in a song by Depeche Mode?
Really? Okay, that's cool. It wasn't the synth. They evolved. They did something else, evidently.
Yeah. Yeah, no, wow. So they were trying different things. I think they said that it went on. I mean, that was just the first one, but
right.
But here's another interesting thing. Did you know about the Elvis influence on this song?
I heard it, and I think I like skimmed through it like a while ago.
Okay.
And then when we did this again, I came across it, and I kind of paid attention to it, but I didn't. But what was the connection?
Yeah, okay. So I wrote it down here. It said the song, and this is from Martin Gore, who said this.
Okay.
The song was inspired by the book Elvis and Me by Priscilla Presley. And then Martin Gore goes on to say that this, the song Personal Jesus, it's a song about being a Jesus for somebody else. It's about how Elvis Presley was her man and her mentor, and how often that happens in love relationships.
Wow, yeah, that's good.
I thought that was pretty interesting. That was probably one of the last things I thought I was going to see here, that Elvis influenced Depeche Mode, but Elvis influences everyone, I guess.
I guess so. Have you seen the movie yet?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I have my goodness, you are missing out. Let's just get tangential here for a minute.
Yeah, okay, come on, let's go.
You gotta see that, man. It's worth 3 hours of your time to see that movie. you could 100%, when you see, I don't know, at least me, we're both kind of similar in our thinking. We both
I would say so.
Hyper focus on certain things and certain aspects.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is the relationship I want. Priscilla Presley and Elvis Presley.
Wow.
This is the ultimate. They're the ultimate. And there's moments where, like, let's just say I've been under the influence, and the next morning I wake up and I'm like, hungover and sleeping, and there's this scene in the Elvis movie where Priscilla's gonna leave Elvis, and he's like laying in bed, he's half asleep, and he's like just abusing pills out of his mind. And he's like looking up, like, "Oh, you're gonna leave, whatever." And I can just picture, like, "Oh wow, this is my Elvis moment."
Oh,
like,
oh my god,
she's had enough. Yeah. Like, time to move on.
She's done. She's done with me.
but then also another tangential thing, Hillary Duff.
Yeah, the Hillary Duff connection.
Hillary Duff, right? What's amazing, you're making all these connections here. The song that Hillary Duff did for Laguna Beach on MTV. Mm-hmm. Let the rain fall down and wake my dreams, or wreck my dreams, whatever the lyric is. Yep. I love that song. I think that song is fantastic. It's one of my favorite songs, and every time I hear it, which isn't often, I'll be like, "Oh, this is a good one."
Are you serious? Are you messing with me right now?
No, I'm serious. I love
that
song.
Okay,
it's one of my guilty pleasures.
Oh my goodness, I had no idea.
I love that show too. Laguna Beach, all those, like Laguna Beach, Newport Beach.
Oh yeah,
the OC. I love those shows.
Yeah, I used to watch them too. Not gonna lie.
That's so great. But that kind of gets to my next point. I had a hard time understanding the lyrics for some of these, and I had to look up the lyrics for a lot of these.
Yeah.
And I think it's the layering and everything else. But on Personal Jesus, like you said, those connections, those love connections happen, like Martin Gore said. Mm-hmm. I love this lyric here. Feeling unknown and you're all alone, flesh and bone by the telephone. Lift up the receiver, I'll make you a believer.
Wow.
That's got to like give you some like high school vibes when you still had to use a phone to talk to people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It really, harkens back.
Yeah,
no, we don't even do that anymore.
No, there's nothing. You just send a text, or everybody asks for their Snap now.
I know. It's all, imagine the difference between literally having to pick up. It was a much more physical and intimate thing of picking up the phone and having to dial. Yes. And hoping that they would answer, and you're talking to them more, whereas you're just sending some some thirst trap pictures to some girl or guy or something. It's totally the intimacy and personability of all these social connections has been just completely stripped away.
Yeah, you're right. It's so true. Like I said, it was a process. It's the phone free. I have to put in the numbers. I have to write it down. Maybe you'll remember it after a few times.
Oh, remember when people would like write their phone number on your hand or something? That was the best.
that was such a good feeling.
I know. Yeah, I thought you were so cool. Like, oh yeah.
Jeez,
man, times
change. I guess I don't know.
Oh yeah, I would say so.
I guess it's just that policy of truth that we're walking away from.
Wow. really bringing it back. Yeah, speak on the lyrics though. I agree. It was kind of hard to listen, or actually like physically hear some of them.
Right.
I feel like their newer stuff, the vocals were a lot more forward, and I have to point out, Where's the Revolution?
I was just going to ask you about that one.
Yeah, I said, and I always say nose forward. I don't know why I like using that so much,
always,
but he really is nose forward with his beliefs and wanting people to do a revolution, which is kind of interesting that he's asking the people to do it instead of him. They're asking the people, like he's saying he's pissed off with the people that they're not revolting yet. I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, because he says he makes oh, who's running your life, the government or the media, and then he's telling you, well, where is the revolution? Like, he's sick of you not paying attention and listening. kind of like you said, nose forward, kind of hypocritical a little bit, but he makes it very known where he wants to go and where he wants to see it.
Yeah, no, I guess I could appreciate that, but yeah.
Yeah, I really like that song. I like that song because I thought it was like grown up synth, and it was like 80s, but it was also a modern 80s, like, if you know what I mean, that vibe. I thought that was really cool.
I think that's what I like about some of their earlier songs, and I'm sorry, more of their later songs, and especially that one. Like you said, it's like it grew up and it's modernized, but it's still, like I said at the beginning, you could still tell it's Depeche Mode.
100%. And I really liked their new song, Ghosts Again, and it was dark and distorted, but I think it was still like upbeat. It still had that a little bit of an undertone of that joyous early
mm-hmm.
Depeche Mode, I thought. And I think if you listen to this and you told, somebody like you, a producer who's into these kind of things, if you told them, hey, listen to this song, you didn't tell them who they are, their background, just listen to the song, I don't think you'd be able to tell that this band was around for 30 plus years. I think that's a pretty fresh sounding single.
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree. I feel like I even said here, I said they still got it. That was one of the big things I put for Ghosts again.
Yeah. 100%.
And I totally agree. And like you said, I feel like it's still fresh. And like you said, you wouldn't be able to tell that they were a band from started all the way back in 1981. You just wouldn't know.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Yeah.
And speaking of the early days of Depeche Mode, I saw a video, and I make sure to find the link for it. But rumor has it that in the early days of Depeche Mode, they actually went by Depeche Mode.
I was literally going to make a joke about that. Like, I was going to say, "Oh, is it Depeche or Depeche?" Are you saying? No, it really was.
No, so this guy on YouTube, he has an early cassette recording of an interview with one of the members of the band, and they were playing a concert in France. And it's a French word, Depeche Mode, and they were going by Depeche Mode at the time.
Okay. And
they show up in France. They're going to play their shows. And the guys are like, okay, it's Depeche Mode you're on. They're like, no, it's Depeche Mode. And the French are like, no, it's Depeche Mode.
No.
They're correcting them at their own names.
Oh, so my God. That's so good.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I have to ask.
That's great. Yeah, go ahead.
I have to ask, what did you think about Enjoy the Silence?
Enjoy the Silence. Oh, okay. This was another one that I absolutely knew, but I never knew it was by them.
Right.
But
it was one of those songs, right?
Yeah, but this is probably one of my favorites out of this whole thing. Yeah, no, I thought it was fantastic. And again, though, I put the note that it doesn't really go anywhere.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I liked how it started out kind of like slower, but it kind of ramps up, gets like more up tempo. It does kind of increase the energy. Out of all the songs of Depeche Mode, I feel like this one does that.
It actually does go somewhere, but it without going somewhere, and I totally know what you're saying.
It's like so it starts out slow, ramps up, but it goes somewhere without going. That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah, I hate to be cliche, because Billboard ranks this as their best song of all time. And I don't know love this song.
You love this song?
I love this song, man.
Really?
I think I hate to be cliche, I really do, but I love this song. I think it's one of my favorite all-time songs.
No way.
I think so. I think it's got to be up there. And like I said, I hate to be cliche. I hate to buy into the hype. I really, really do. I love this song. I think it's fantastic.
Well, that's absolutely incredible. I mean, and I wasn't saying that it was bad or anything, but I was just saying, like, and again, I said that this is probably one of my favorite songs off this whole thing. Yeah. And it does go somewhere without really going anywhere. But yeah, no. What makes you love it so much? I'm curious.
I don't know what it is. It gives me a Smiths vibe, not so much as the other ones, but just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
But I love it that it's new wave without being new wave. Yeah. Like, I love that it's new wave synth without being in your face about it. But I love how it kind of comes up, and he's kind of, all I ever wanted, all I ever needed. He's preaching, he's here he is. And, we talk about these love connections, you talk about these things. You can really feel it in that song, I think. I think it's really honest. I think it's really stripped down.
Yes.
And here's a funny story. We were, we had the opportunity to collaborate in person a few weeks ago, and went to a bar, you and I.
Oh, yeah.
And I played this on the jukebox. And there were like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4
yes,
early middle-aged women, and they absolutely flipped out when I put this song on. They loved it.
They did. And you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
And I guess maybe that doesn't give much credence to my take on it, that it's just a throwaway trash single. But I thought it was great. I don't know. I love this song. I don't know, man.
Maybe I have to listen to this a little more to really, really appreciate it. But I mean, I feel like this is another song of that time. Like, everyone knows this song.
Yeah.
And like I said, I knew it as I was listening to it. I just never knew it was by Depeche Mode.
Right.
It is a great song. The lyrics are very nice, very, very pretty. I wouldn't say it's a trash single, though.
Well, I'm glad to hear it's not really a trash single. That gives me some peace of mind. God, I don't know. I just enjoy it. I like how it sounds. I like the lyrics. I like the kind of like a almost like a spookiness in the background deal. You know?
Yeah. No. I mean, I'm happy for you that you like this.
Well, thank you.
I think that's great, but yeah, certainly not a a throwaway single. Even for someone who is just kind of, who just enjoys it.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
So, I guess overall, you know what? I'm really curious to hear what you have to think about your rating. What is your rating of Depeche Mode overall, based on the songs off the 11 songs that we heard, spanning several generations of their music?
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing to consider is the evolution. The evolution, the impact, the influence. And I think, like you said before, you could know Depeche Mode without actually knowing Depeche Mode. I think that says something.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's important to consider. I think they're considered one of the greatest bands of all time. Certainly the best techno, dance hall band of all time. If I'm having to rate, boy, I don't think I've rated a band before, just their song. Well, let's just think about let me rate these songs. I'm having an objective, as objective as I can be.
Oh, wow.
And this 10 being Pet Sounds, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever rated anything a 1, but it has to be, I don't know, maybe Yoko Ono would be like a 1, I think.
I would love to listen to Yoko Ono. That should be another episode. I would love that.
That should be it should be another episode. Yeah. Hillary Duff, definitely somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, get her in there too.
I think you have to rate. I don't want this to influence you at all. Okay. I think you have to rate Depeche Mode on the higher end of things. I think you have to rate them at least a 7 or an 8.
Okay.
I think you do, just considering their impact, the longevity they've had, the experimental nature of their music, their songwriting. Like I said, the you can know Depeche Mode without knowing Depeche Mode. I think they have to be on the higher end of things. I really do.
Okay, understandable. So
being objective.
Yeah. Being objective about it. I know there was a lot of subjectivity, especially in my reviews before, but we're striving to be objective now.
Striving. That's what we're trying to be anyway.
Yeah, trying.
Yep.
We're doing our best. So do you have any or are you just gonna leave it at the range of 7 to 8?
I'm gonna say 7 to 8 is probably a fair range. I think I had a hard time understanding some of the lyrics, like I said, physically. There's all kind of the same vibe, but it's all different.
Mm-hmm.
Also at the same time, some of the songs they go places we don't want them to go, and then other songs they don't go.
Yeah,
where they should go. We think. I think it's not a band that I would listen to every day. It's not going to be my on repeat all the time.
Yeah.
And I think Depeche Mode is an acquired taste, and I think it's one of the perfect greatest hits bands that you can buy a collection of their greatest hits and enjoy every song and not have to get into the weeds on some of their albums. I think they'd be like perfect for that.
Yeah, I absolutely, I totally agree with you. That's pretty much exactly what I would say. And I have to give my rating because I think you're gonna find this interesting. And this was I swear this was in my head prior to you giving your analysis. I was going to give them a 7.2. 7.2
great.
Is what, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
I think they have to be up there. I do. I don't know.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I think the impact that they have, I think, what they were producing, their composition, the lyrics, and like you said, the fact that you could have an album of greatest hits from them without having to get into the weeds and everyone will know them. And I think that's one of the strongest points of Depeche Mode. I think that they are consistent with their sound, but at the same time, they've they've changed it at the same time, which is very interesting to me that they were able to do something like that.
Yeah.
The vocals are there. There's nothing, it's not hampered by a bad singer, like some of the other bands we've talked about. But this is a solid band, and again, you can't deny their impact that they've had on the music world with all of the hits that they've had, and
100%.
and the fact that Rolling Stone said that that Enjoy the Silence was
the Violator,
the Violator,
Violator album, 100%.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna stick with 7.2. Now again, my subjectivity is kind of in there, maybe a little bit.
I think there has to be a little bit of subjectivity. Maybe I'm too objective. I think you have the right idea.
Yeah,
I think you have to have a little bit of subjectivity. You have to.
Just a little bit, and the only reason that I would say that is simply because, like you were saying, their song is there, but it doesn't really go anywhere sometimes. And again, that could be my modern brain thinking that.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, if I had to give any criticism, that would be it. That's it right there.
I'm with you. That's really solid. Now, here's the other question, because I think the spin here is going to be on this episode is, is Depeche Mode really that good? Are they that good? Are they one of the best of all time?
Yeah.
Do you think they're one of the best of all time?
Oh, now we might be getting into some controversial things here.
Oh my goodness, I'm nervous.
Okay. I hate to say this, but I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say what I'm thinking.
Just say it.
Some of these songs. Oh man, I'm gonna get so much flack for this. Some of these songs, and especially the one that we were talking about. What's the really poppy one?
I just can't get enough.
Just can't get enough. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just can't get enough. Listening to that song and listening to the solo and everything, that is something that I could probably make in a few hours. We're just messing. It sounds like they're just messing around on the key, especially on that solo right there. So I think they're just messing around on the keyboard. So I feel like even the fact that you have a song like that,
right,
and considering them the greatest of all time, I don't feel comfortable saying that. I really don't. No, Now, if you're talking about an overall band, I guess it really depends on where you want to tackle it from. It's like, well, technically proficient, I would say no. I would just hard up say not certainly not. Not. I'm sure they're good musicians.
They ain't no Nickelback.
No, yeah, they ain't no Nickelback. But I think when you get, I'm really getting in the weeds on this, but I feel like technical aspect, no. If you're talking about writing hits and writing catchy songs, I would say then you're kind of closing in on one of the best.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm with you. And if you said a quintessential '80s band, they are probably the best, I would say.
Okay, so maybe best band of the '80s.
Yeah, you know what? I could kind of see that. Now, I have a very scarce knowledge of bands from the '80s, but if you had to say like this is the best one, I would say yes, just because I know the most about them, and it seems like they had the most influence on that era, even though I just started researching them this week. So,
I think that's the only issue that concerns me with being the best band of the '80s is that, overall, yes, from the '80s, but like I think a huge portion of their catalog, that people really got into, Depeche Mode for, was their albums in the early '90s. I think that's something to consider. So I think as I think they have started evolving at that time.
Okay,
got a little bit deeper, and I think so. When I said that, I'm like maybe the real meat of their catalog, if you will, really start to hit like late '80s, early '90s. But that's not to say that they cranked out really, really catchy things in the '80s,
Sure.
And maybe they were all like, I just can't get enough. But I think the question I have to ask you is that does it give you any leeway that these guys were doing this manually and not on like a digital setup.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
analog.
absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I feel like anytime you take a digital aspect out of it and include analog instruments, just analog anything, you're upping the difficulty and craftsmanship, honestly, by hundreds of times. I would say. I feel like it becomes more of a skill, and that's like a separate skill you have to have on top of being able to write music.
Sure. Mm-hmm. And there's and you know as well as I do that there's a lot of DJs out there that aren't really all that skilled, even though that their equipment and their craft is accessible and it's relatively easy to learn if you spend some time doing it.
Yeah, right? Exactly. I mean, look at DJ Khaled or whatever the hell his name is.
My gosh,
he's straight garbage, and he's one of the most famous out there.
God, it's insanity. And I hate to play D's advocate here. But I'm going to go ahead and say I think these guys are one of the best of all time, considering all that we've talked about previously. And I know, your points are key, and they're important, and I think they're spot on when it comes to a lot of the stuff. One of the reasons why you're not considering the greatest band of all time, maybe one of the greatest bands of the '80s, but I think considering everything, new wave pioneers, if you will, I think you have to say that they're one of the greatest of all time.
Okay, I totally respect that. Maybe even going into the genre, I could say,
right, in the genre, sure, certainly,
that's
a big thing to say too.
Yeah, 100%. Because like I said, I feel like this is more just a coming thing that was just coming out.
Yeah.
And they kind of pioneered the whole thing, and like you said, I could see them being the greatest of all time. In that, again, I say that with my scarce knowledge, but
I'm with you.
The fact that they stand atop the rest is, if that's any indication, then and like you said, these songs are still being listened to today. They have, if you go on YouTube, they have tens of millions of views each song. It's
unbelievable.
It's clearly very impactful, and people still love it today. So. I guess I could give them best of in a few categories, I would say.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you did actually get enough of Depeche Mode.
Wow. Yeah, I guess I did.
Oh, well, hey, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Absolutely. So I'm very excited to see what we're going to talk about next week.
Me too. Do we have any letters? Should we open up the mailbag?
Oh yeah. You know what? Yeah, in place of the old rant at the end, we could open up the mailbag and take a look at some of our viewer comments, because we listen to you guys and talk about comments that we get every single episode. So
yep,
the latest one that we got. So our friend Roof Pizza. I love this. Roof Pizza, he's definitely referencing Breaking Bad. Have you ever seen that show?
No, I have never. I watched one episode. I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, I understand. It's when one of our ex-mutual friends used to love that show, and that's who got me into it. I guess it makes sense why you wouldn't like it.
I hate these shows that everybody's like, "Oh, did you watch this?" I'm like, "No, I watched an episode and I can't get into it." "Oh, you got to watch it more." Well, if I don't like it initially, why would I keep watching it?
I cannot. That is, Dix, I'm so glad you said that. That is one of my biggest pet peeves, is when someone says exactly what you just said. Oh, you didn't like the first episode? Well, it's slow the first 8 episodes. So okay, so I got to waste 8 hours of my life just sitting through this and like being bored. What the hell kind of show is this? Like,
when you hit the 13th episode, things really start to get interesting, and you just got to stick it out to them. Like, why would I do that if I'm not interested at the get-go? Like, that was Yellowstone for me.
I never saw Yellowstone. I've always wanted to. That's a show that I've wanted to watch, because I have no idea what the hell it is. I don't know when it's set. All I know is that it's titled Yellowstone, and there's like cowboys or something. That's all I know.
Like cowboys and, I don't know, probably oil, if I had to guess. But,
yeah, something like that.
But if I watched the first episode and I just couldn't get into it, and then we were talking about it the other day, and somebody said, "Oh, you just got to watch it. Watch a couple more episodes." I'm like, "No, I've watched one and I don't like it, so why would I watch another one?"
I haven't thought of like an insult to tell these people yet, but it's so frustrating.
It really is.
It really is. It's just like if the show writers weren't cognizant enough to grab you in the first episode, then
yeah,
they probably weren't thinking at all.
It's really true. I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's us. I don't know. But there's just things I just don't take to.
No, I absolutely agree. I think you ever watch Game of Thrones?
You know, that was one I gave a chance.
Oh boy,
I watched a couple seasons worth, and then I got bored of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, that hooked me from beginning to end.
And you're not really like a fantasy boy, are you?
No, not at all. I really don't even like that stuff. But it was just, I think it was the way, like when I saw people start dying, when I thought that, because I wasn't spoiled at all, and this has been out for years and years, and I got to watch up to season 4 or whatever, but I was like, oh my god, they just killed this guy. Like I thought he was supposed to be the main character, and then ever since then I'm like, this is like the gloves are off. Like anyone could fucking die. So I thought that was really interesting.
What I saw, I enjoyed, and I like to give it more time to marinate. The problem is I got it on. I used to get them like on Black Friday when they'd be on clearance.
Yeah.
And so I have like the seasons on DVD because I don't subscribe to HBO. I don't have access to HBO. I should probably get it now with the HBO whatever the hell it is.
Max,
Go
HBO
or
Max.
Now or Max, something like that. Because I'd like to see The Sopranos, and
I do too. Maybe we I would love to. A subscription. Let's do it. Then we at the end of each Records and Rants, we could just talk about the episode of Sopranos that we watched.
Yeah, but I think maybe it was I got bored with it because like I watched them like consistently. Like there was no break in between. Like, oh, I have a season, I should put it on and watch it. I think it's kind of a difficult show to do with like to binge. I don't know. I think kind of like some breathing room.
Yeah, that'll burn on anyone. I feel like there's so many characters. There's so many moving parts that like.
Yeah, I think it's probably what I did wrong.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm gonna try it again because I want to like it. I do. It's one of the few shows that I want to actually like.
Yeah, no, I honestly thought it was great. The only thing that I didn't like was the ending.
I hear nobody liked the ending. I heard that nobody was impressed with it.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. I feel like they thought that they made their money, and then they were just like, well, let's get this over with, and they just rushed right to the end.
Oh, jeez. That sucks.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah. Oh wait, yeah, really quick. Roof Pizza.
Yeah, Roof Pizza.
Yeah, so he commented on our latest, our Nickelback episode, which was really fun. I really enjoyed that one. But
yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah, Roof Pizza said Morrissey is still solid. Can't stand Nickelback.
I figure if you like Morrissey, you're probably gonna hate Nickelback. That probably stands to follow.
Yeah, no, I would say so. It's pretty funny that that this guy's been with us for a while, but I like how he just threw in Morrissey there.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, seriously. This is becoming a Smith Stan account very quickly.
I know.
This whole YouTube channel.
Yeah, we gotta watch out.
Yeah, but yeah, shout out to Roof Pizza. He's been there for a little bit, so glad to have you aboard.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man. But yeah, so
any of you, I just real quick call to action. Any of you Depeche bros, any of you Depeche ladies, think we got this wrong, or we should listen to something else? Comment below so we can.
Yeah, definitely. I think we gave them a pretty fair shake, though.
So
I mean, you were giving them tons of accolades too, which I really didn't expect.
I know, and you'll never hear, like, I'll never probably play them ever again in my vehicle or anything else. There's a couple songs I really like that I will put on repeat. Namely, "Enjoy the Silence."
No, I totally get it.
Remember that time I got into your car and I needed to charge my phone, and your radio was on, and I plugged in my phone to charge it, and One Direction came on.
No, I don't remember. Oh my god, that's so funny.
Night Changes was the song. Boy, I really like that song too. That's a guilty pleasure song for me.
Wait, what was the band again?
One Direction. Harry Styles.
Yeah, One Direction. Yeah. We'll have to review them sometime soon too.
I really like that song, Night Changes. That's pretty good. I think it's catchy.
There's something else.
Yes, the video is hilarious. It's like a POV of each member on a date.
Oh my god!
And the one gets beat up by the ex. He gets water on his head. The other one falls while ice skating.
Oh, so it's just like really embarrassing moments on a first date.
Yeah, somebody has like, I don't know, it's like they get injured, like I don't know, it's pretty cool. But like these at the time, these kids are like 13, they're going on these elaborate dates. I don't see, I don't understand.
Yeah, they were freaking young, weren't they?
Yeah, Harry Styles got to be what, like 22, something like that.
Yeah, it's freaking crazy.
We got to look at the cult of personality for Harry Styles.
Yes, we definitely do. It's kind of weird that he was the one that stepped out of the whole band.
Yeah, I don't think he's really, I don't think he's all that talented or that attractive. But
I would definitely agree with the probably on both actually.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that I feel like he's semi-talented, but maybe not. Maybe we gotta dive into that.
Like I've heard some of his songs and they're not bad. I don't think they're bad. I don't think they're great.
Yeah, and I gotta wonder if he writes a lot of them. I'm just wonder. I'm just saying.
Harold Styles, come clean right now.
Yeah, right now. Yeah, there's no way.
I can see the attraction. I mean, he has got the tattoos, he's got the body. I mean, I guess I get it, but I don't think he's like that, like overly attractive.
No, I don't think so. I think the money and the fame just amps that up exponentially.
Yeah, that's true. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Well, here we are in the final mode of our Depeche Mode series.
That's right. And if you like this, guys, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, and again, comment. We respond to every single one. But I guess yeah, we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do next week. We always keep it a mystery, but BTS, we haven't talked about anything yet, but something exciting should be coming. Just trust
worry,
us.
Something should be he cracked me up.
All right, guys, we'll see you the next one.
Peace.